Please be seated.
Before we continue, Mr. Rousseau, I'd like the parties to listen to a small story. I'm a medical doctor. It is weekend. I've got 3 children. I'm on duty that weekend. The weather is nice, but there usually is a risk of rain in the Netherlands, and my question is now, should I go to the beach with my children? One would say that's what children like, the weather is nice, etc. There are a lot of reasons to go. There are, however, also quite some reasons not to go. Obvious, I'm on duty, could I be reached on the beach? What to do with the children if I have to go to a hospital, perform my duties? This is a situation which requires careful consideration of all the elements. You can go on with that forever. What if my mobile phone is very sensitive for sand? Would that be a consideration? Not to go to the beach when I'm on duty? Yes, but if you would find another mobile phone less sensitive for sand, would that go in the other direction? It might. But if you would keep this phone, well, you could still consider to put it in a plastic bag and only open it if you're cold, which diminishes the sensitivity for sand. You could do similar things with the children. What if they are half in the water and I miss my call? With this small story, I'm trying to explain to the parties, and Professor Korn is listening, that there are situations which are complex, especially complex if you have to make decisions, and that you could finally go in all details, and once you're at the most detailed level, you could easily find another detail. Because I've been talking about the mobile phone only about sensitivity for sand and plastic bags, but of course you could invent a lot of other things that could either push you in one direction or in the other direction. The chamber is not assisted by seeking further details into eternity, especially if to some extent the facts of the story are uncertain, because it would give an ample opportunity to introduce the specific weather forecast for that day. We do not know exactly, but if the weather forecast not known to the family would be this, what would be the result? What if the overall development of sunshine on the beach in Scheveningen would have slightly changed over the last few years? Would that be another element? Of course, this chamber wants to consider all the relevant aspects of the decision-making processes of the accused, their subordinates. At the same time, the Chamber considers that somewhere we have to stop seeking further details where the details, whether at least there's uncertainty about whether these details are already established or could be established. Do you have any questions in relation to this small family story? Do you understand the message, Mr. Rousseau? But I'm also looking at you, Mr. Korn, and I'm also looking at the Gotovina defense. Any questions in relation to this small family story, whether it will become a tragedy, raining on the beach, father called to the hospital, or sunshine and no patients that day?
Mr. President, I believe I understand the point of the court's story, and I have to be honest, it presents a bit of a problem for the prosecution's ability to challenge the evidence of the witness. Obviously, the original scenario that the court set up about how many children you have, the fact that you're a doctor, let me just put it bluntly, the witness has been given a set of facts, obviously, which the prosecution disputes, and he's reached an opinion based on those facts and assumptions. Now, if that were simply the case, if Professor Korn had showed up here without the supplemental information sheet indicating that he had considered the laundry list of documents in paragraph 12, which include the critical documents in this case, I would have had about 4 questions for him on cross-examination. The fact that he now indicates that he's considered the critical documents, although not addressing them specifically, he's now incorporated those into his conclusions, and I have to now challenge all of the evidence, or at least most of it, as much as I can, in light of the assumptions that we think he should have considered based on the documentation that he says he reviewed. But if it will not assist the Chamber for me to go through the targets, as was my intention, to change the factual situation or assumptions with respect to each of the alleged military objectives in Canine, if that won't assist the Chamber, then I won't bother with that exercise.
Of course, the Chamber didn't know that you had that in mind. Most important is for the Chamber to understand the testimony of Professor Korn, where the limits are as to his knowledge of the factual situation, and I think that we have established several times that it often depends on further detailed knowledge about the situation on the ground, about the knowledge of the accused had at the time. And what then often happened is that we went to freely further explore what, on the basis of assumptions, what we do not actually know, and to see what the consequences of such new elements would be. I'm not saying that you should just ignore the targets. What I'm saying is that there should be put limits to further exploring in depth where apparently the answers to some new assumptions may be clear or not clear, or lead to other assumptions, that there should be some limits to that, because at a certain moment the statistics on how many mobile phones had broken down due to sandy circumstances, not only on beaches but also in deserts, and to what extent that would influence the outcome, is not assisting the chamber. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Professor, in reference to the language of General Gotovina's offensive operation order that we discussed on Tuesday, specifically the language about putting the town of Kanin under artillery fire, you stated, and this is at transcript page 21,274, lines 11 to 15, you stated, quote, "I also told the judge that